Hey! Hi! How you doing? This is the Gamertron and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. So, I've recently played Prey. I've been looking forward to this game for quite some time. It's been one of my most anticipated games of the year 2017 for quite some time. When I first heard of and saw Prey, a lot of what it was offering really caught my attention. Developed by Arkane Studios, the developers behind the Dishonored games, now making a brand new first-person RPG survival horror, action, stealth, exploration, story-driven video game with obvious heavy inspirations from such older classic games like System Shock, BioShock, Deus Ex, and of course with a little bit of added influence from their recent games, the IP they're most known for, Dishonored. And this game also shared the name of a cult classic, action-packed sci-fi first-person shooter with an infamous cancelled sequel. While an unfortunately unhealthy amount of people obsessed over the title of the game, it sharing the same name of this cult classic first-person sci-fi shooter, with an unfortunately cancelled sequel that many people were looking forward to, it's really unfortunate and somewhat disturbing that so many people couldn't let go of the title of the game, acting upset and outraged that Prey 2017 was some sort of replacement for the cancelled Prey 2. While many people were upset and even surprisingly angry over something so petty, I could only look at Prey as two things. One, hooray! A brand new IP, a brand new franchise. The gaming industry and community is always in desperate need of more of those. And two, hooray! A return to classic video game gameplay styles, mechanics, and features from some great games, some of my favorite games. Games that utilize a quick save feature, a save game and load game feature, inventory management, a somewhat classical progression system, leveling up, earning new skills, with multiple options in the gameplay with action, stealth, variations on the two, platforming, solving puzzles, multiple endings, and the ability, and I know this may seem odd to some, but the ability to screw up. Not a lot of video games let you screw up. What I mean by that is put yourself in a bad position and suffer the consequences. A lot of video games nowadays have safety nets, or give you an infinite of a certain type of resource. In Prey, there was, and is, the promise of screwing yourself over, of going into a situation unprepared with the risk of losing resources and items, or perhaps even failing a quest and getting a worse ending. Believe it or not a lot of games do that nowadays. Games like BioShock did it, of course the most recent Deus Ex games, Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, and Arkane Studios' previous games, the Dishonored games, and of course the critically acclaimed and classic System Shock games. These kinds of games that allow for unique, one-of-a-kind experiences. While they aren't open-world games, grand open-world adventures where you create your own stories by exploring the open world, not really by how you participate in the scripted quests. Whereas with System Shock, BioShock, Deus Ex, Dishonored, etc., hell, you can even throw in the Thief games in there, those games allow players the possibility to tell and create their own stories through the gameplay, how they spec their character, what decisions they make in interacting with the world, the story, how they manage their resources, weapons, and abilities to overcome obstacles and combat encounters. I really like those styles of games. I really like those types of games, and it's rare. It's rare nowadays to get more of those types of games. So I had really been anticipating Prey and what it had to offer in this kind of old-school, classical, first-person RPG-esque experience. With the interesting spins and takes and twists Prey has on the genre, with its own unique variation on a well-known premise, including elements of mystery and horror, psychological mind games, and more, Prey just looked like it has so much to offer of what I enjoy, what I like. And after several playthroughs of Prey and beating the game multiple times, I can safely say without a shadow of a doubt that Prey is special. Not only is it unique on its own and stand on its own 2 feet, but it's also a loving homage and spiritual successor to those previously mentioned games in this video. If you love System Shock, BioShock, Deus Ex, Dishonored, I have not a single doubt in my mind that there isn't something that you won't find enjoyable, or at the very least something to appreciate about Prey. Now then, I feel like sharing my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on the nitty-gritty details of Prey. First up, the story. You play as Morgan Yu, an employee of TranStar Industries, a company who is doing experiments and creating these life-changing augmentations called neuromods, via examining, testing, and dissecting alien life forms known as the Typhon, on board the International Space Station Talos 1. Unfortunately, while Morgan is performing some tests with his brother Alex, things go horribly wrong. You wake up on the space station Talos 1, and now with the aid of a mysterious character called January, Morgan must survive and explore Talos 1, which is now infested with the Typhon aliens. While admittedly I didn't find Prey's story to have too much emotional impact, as I only care for and came to like only a couple characters, where Prey's story succeeds is how engaging the mysteries the plot presents you with are. In my first playthrough of Prey, I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know all the secrets that the game was keeping from me. Morgan's mysterious past, his relationship with his brother Alex, what Alex really wanted, what was going on Talos 1, what happened to the crew, what stories did they have to tell, what was life on Talos 1 like, and what do the Typhon aliens want? Without spoiling anything, I am happy to say that a lot of these questions I had were answered. I never felt like Prey strung me along, like it dangled the carrot of mystery in front of my face. And when I finally caught it, I wasn't disappointed afterwards. Prey's story allows for some very interesting dilemmas and choices, and it gives the player enough options and enough wiggle room to really tell their own story within the game's story. There are also a few likable characters here and there, some tragic backstories and side stories, fantastic voice work, and absolutely stellar world building. Even if Prey's story, its plot, doesn't personally impress you, what cannot be denied is Prey's strength in world building. Talos 1 and this alternate history, alternate universe timeline, Prey makes believable, engaging, and interesting. That's one of Prey's strongest qualities. Even if Prey's plot and mysterious story doesn't hook you, the world building and atmosphere that Prey provides will. However, one of the most important parts of world building and atmosphere is what I'm about to talk about next, the graphics. The visuals of Prey, which are just outstanding. I don't have a negative thing I can say about the visuals. Throughout my multiple playthroughs, I never ran into a low quality texture, anything that looked outdated or unfinished. Prey is a spectacle in how remarkably well detailed its environment is. But then again, I shouldn't really be surprised. After all, this is running on the CryEngine free, which was a real nice surprise because we haven't really seen a AAA video game running on the CryEngine since, well, Crysis Free. Wait, what's that? Homefront the Revolution? What? Oh, that game doesn't exist. What are you talking about? That's a fairy tale meant to scare young gamers. Don't be absurd. But yeah, Arcane have done some amazing work with the visuals and graphics of Prey with the CryEngine. The texture work, the special effects, the lighting, and the overall performance and optimization. Oh, Prey runs buttery smooth, even on my dinosaur of a PC. And when I say dinosaur, I mean it's old, not powerful. I can still run Prey at max settings with a buttery smooth high FPS. But there's more to the visuals than just the technical. There's also the artistic, the art style, and the art style of Prey is magnificent. This Art Deco, retro, 1960s sci-fi design leaps off the screen with how colorful and full of life it is. Whether it be the design of Talos 1 itself, the statues, the furniture, the decor, the props, the items, the spacesuits. Despite how fantastical everything looks, there's still a sense of believability to it. Oh, and I have to mention the look and design of the Typhon aliens. I love the look and design of the Typhon aliens. They truly look alien and Lovecraftian in a sense. These bizarre, inky, liquid, gas-like silhouettes that resemble no creature on Earth. The Typhon are truly unsettling, and despite my multiple playthroughs of Prey and killing hundreds upon hundreds of Typhon, the Typhon were never not cool and unsettling and threatening to look at. Really love the design of these aliens. And now we come to the core, the most important aspect of any video game, the gameplay. And when it comes to gameplay, Prey has so much going for it. Hopefully you've noticed, because I've been foreshadowing to this, how I've said I've done multiple playthroughs of Prey. It's why it's taken me so long to get to this review commentary video, because Prey is a game you need to play through multiple times to really get the full experience. You can play the game once and be done with it, you do you. But in my personal opinion, Prey is a game you need to play at the bare minimum at least twice, 2 different playthroughs, to see just how much Prey has to offer in terms of variety and content. Because you see, the game has multiple endings, but the game's side quests also have multiple endings. So there are several different versions and alterations you can make to the story to make each playthrough, at least in terms of the story, unique to that playthrough. But then of course there is the actual gameplay elements, the RPG elements, and how you build your Morgan you. First off, you gotta choose your gender. Do you want to be male or female? Which is always a nice touch in any game. Then you gotta decide how you spend your neuromods. Neuromods are a resource that effectively count as upgrade points. At the beginning of the game, neuromods are a very scarce resource. They're a reward for completing main story quests and side quests. They can be looted off of certain powerful Typhon enemies, and they can be found hidden all over Talos 1. And I gotta tell you, it's an extremely satisfying experience to collect neuromods. Near the end of the game, however, you earn the ability to craft neuromods. But whether you're scavenging neuromods or crafting neuromods, how you spend your neuromods is really going to affect your gameplay style. There are multiple different skill trees and perks to building your own unique Morgan you. Do you want to focus on melee combat, on stealth, avoiding combat altogether? Do you want to focus on maximizing your scavenging, looting, and crafting of resources and items? Do you want to maximize your DPS and combat potential with your weapons? Or do you want to play with what are some of the most fun and unique options available in the game, using neuromods to enable Typhon abilities? Psychic powers that allow you to create shockwaves, shoot lightning from your mind, set things on fire, levitate and throw items with your mind. Who needs a gravity gun when you have psychic abilities? And one of the coolest and most fun powers to just goof around with in the game, but this requires a little context and backstory, but then again, I'm sure if you research of Prey, you know about this already, but the main basic enemy in Prey, the very first Typhon alien you encounter, and the most common enemy, the Mimic, this small spider octopus-like creepy little bastard has the ability to mimic props in the environment, such as coffee mugs, chairs, lamps, toilet paper, you name it. This makes the Mimic a formidable and threatening enemy, despite it being the most common enemy throughout Prey. It also enables consistent paranoia towards the player and a constant stream of jump scares. Lovely. I really grew to hate and love the Mimics as an enemy, but the reason for that whole little sidetrack and side note was to bring up the fact that you, eventually with neuromods, can level up and earn the Typhon power to copy the Mimic's ability and mimic items in the environment. You can even level up this power so that you can mimic turrets and turn yourself into an automatic turret with infinite ammo. The Mimic ability alone is so much fun and allows for so much variety and creativity in the gameplay. There were so many moments in Prey where I found a blocked door, a blocked path, a room I couldn't get into, with precious loot on the other side. In any other game, you'd have to wait, perhaps level up your hacking or lockpick ability, find a key card, or eventually wait until the story automatically clears that area and allows you to proceed. In Prey, you can say, screw it, I'm going to transform into a coffee cup and roll in there. Whether it be through a vent, a small opening in the door, a window, whatever. I can't describe to you just how satisfying it was to meet an obstacle, something blocking my path, or keeping me from precious loot. I just used the Mimic power on something in the environment, turned myself into a lamp or coffee cup, and creating my own solutions for getting past obstacles in the environment. The Mimic power alone, I think, is worth picking up and playing Prey for, just to experiment and fool around with this ability, not only for puzzle solving and making your way through the environment, but also for stealth. There were several moments in one of my stealthier playthroughs where I was overwhelmed with enemies. I didn't have enough ammo to take them on, so I'd run past a corner, lose their sight, mimic something in the environment, and wait for the Typhon to pass. Or on one of my more action-packed guns blazing playthroughs, I used the Mimic ability to almost solely transform into a turret and gun down hordes of Typhon. And I've just spent the last few minutes just going over one Typhon ability. There's so many more, so many creative abilities that allow you to create unique playstyles. There's a form of necromancy where you can raise corpses from the dead as your own personal Typhon alien minion who will fight alongside you. There's of course abilities abilities that improve your hacking, your movement speed, your health, etc, etc. Prey is in many ways a true RPG in that sense, with an extensive progression system and multiple builds for your character. It's fun and satisfying unlocking these powers, these abilities, and using them in creative ways, in your own ways, to play Prey how well you truly want to play Prey. Pacifist runs are possible, all stealth runs are possible, kill absolutely everyone and get the worst possible ending possible is possible. Prey does something that very few video games nowadays really give you, and that's true freedom. I mean that as, if you don't want to follow the main story whatsoever, you don't have to. If you just want to explore the Talos 1 space station, you can. I'm serious, almost the entirety of Talos 1 is available to you. Sure, you could end up in some areas with high-level Typhon that you're not leveled up and prepared for, but the fact that the game even allows that's an option, that you can screw yourself over by heading into places in Talos 1 that you aren't ready to deal with. But if you really want to challenge yourself and amp up the difficulty, well, you can do that. I should take some time, however, to talk about the actual, gameplay, the combat, weapons, movement, all that good stuff. There's a surprising amount of mobility in Prey. While you have your typical walking, sprinting, crouching, there's also a slide option, which is excellent for quick getaways and sliding into tight spaces, dodging enemy attacks, a little more movement capability than in the games it's paying homage to, as well as the option to basically mantle everything. You want to jump on that, you want to get on top of that, be my guest. Like I said earlier, Prey offers true freedom in that regard. What I found a bit surprising about Prey's gameplay, specifically when it comes to its weapons, is that Prey is not brimming with weapons. It actually has a select few weapons, however, each of which serve their own purposes and feel good in their own right. So even though your arsenal doesn't consist of an entire armory, the guns you do get are pretty good. You start off the game with a wrench, of course a classic homage to games of the past. However, I do appreciate that with this wrench as your melee attack, you do get a few options at the start, with light attacks and a charged heavy attack, which you have to manage your stamina for. There's also some pretty sweet upgrades that you can apply to your wrench and melee capabilities. You'll eventually get your hands on a silenced pistol, nothing stellar but a solid and reliable deadly sidearm, a nice option for taking out mimics from afar, if you don't want to get too close to them and risk the melee damage. Then we have one of my personal favorites, the shotgun, the Margrave Shotgun. This baby is beautiful, solid and satisfying animations and sound effects, and is always a reliable damage dealer for taking on low-level and high-level Typhon. Gotta admit, it is really satisfying to kill Typhon with the shotgun. And then we have one of the most unique and creative and valuable weapons and tools in Prey, the glue cannon. Consider the glue cannon Prey's take on a gravity gun or portal gun, a unique and creative, fascinating tool for puzzle solving and platforming, while also being called a gun or weapon in this case. The glue cannon is an effective and invaluable weapon and tool in Prey, with a multitude of functions for its said glue. You can use the glue cannon to temporarily freeze Typhon in place for some easy melee attacks and gunshots. You can use the glue cannon to create mobile cover, to turtle up and protect yourself from projectile fire. And of course, what I consider to be one of the most useful and fun aspects of the glue cannon, to create your own platforms and traverse the levels in creative ways. Want to get up to a platform but you can't find the stairs? Make your own stairs with the glue cannon. Broken elevator that won't take you up or down? Create your own platforms and jump up with the glue cannon. Hazard in the environment you want to avoid? Cover it up with the glue cannon, and now you can walk right over it. I really like the glue cannon, and I really appreciate that Prey constantly gives you ammo for this weapon. So unless you're firing the glue cannon everywhere like a madman and wasting ammo, it's going to be one of your best friends throughout the entire game. Then there's weapons like the Disruptor Stun Gun that allows you to stun and pacify enemies, the Huntress Bowcaster, which is a toy but one that you can use to distract and trick enemies, and even manipulate the environment in a few creative ways. And then there's the endgame weapon, the Q-Beam, which is this hulking green laser cannon of death. Powerful and effective against all enemies, and has them explode in a satisfying green fiery explosion. Oh, what joy. And finally, I'll briefly re-mention the Typhon, but this time in terms of gameplay. The Typhon enemies that you face throughout the Talos 1 space station on Prey are a creative, threatening, and fun bunch of enemies to fight. The Mimics constantly keep you on edge and inspecting the environment. The Phantoms act as a sturdy and challenging foot soldier that put your skills in combat, stealth, and using your powers to the test, while the more rare and powerful enemies like Technopaths and Telepaths act as almost mini-bosses that really challenge you in how you want to engage and survive them. And then there's the Nightmare, this giant Typhon who will consistently respawn and stalk you and hunt you down if you activate and install Typhon powers. You can either kill the Nightmare or hide and wait it out, both of which are tense and satisfying. I personally prefer to kill the Nightmare, as he usually drops some plentiful and valuable loot upon death. And before I wrap up this video, I gotta say one last thing about Prey. Prey has one of my favorite video game endings ever. The ending to Prey, when I first experienced it in my first playthrough, had my jaw drop. It was such a clever and brilliant twist that really got me thinking about and contemplating all of my actions and decisions that I made throughout the course of the game. I love Prey. I love this video game. It's a great game. I'm so happy to have played it. It was worth the wait. It surpassed my expectations and excitement for the game. I will absolutely, without a doubt, put this in my top 10 games of 2017. It was a real joy to play a game like Prey. That is a refinement, a successor, and an homage to the classic first-person shooter RPG hybrid video games. And that has been my video on Prey. What are your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on this video and on Prey? Let me know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comment section down below. I love reading comments. I get nearly enough comments. Please leave a comment. If you like this video in any way, shape, or form, please be sure to hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved with the video if you hit the like button. If you want to help out and support this video, then please share it on social media, Twitter and Facebook. And if you want to help out and support me directly, well, there's always Patreon. Anyways, guys, that's been a video, and I'll see you all later.